section there, one side will be done, then the opposite side, and then the centre section will be done. So eventually we'll end up with a completely airworthy aircraft. Any questions?
How long do you think it would take to do it all?
It's going to be at least 10 years, purely because of the nature of how we have to do things. If we stopped taxiing now and did it all in one bulk, it'd be quicker, doubly quicker if you like, because you're not having to take things off a couple of times, you do it all in one go. The trouble is we can't do that because we have to tax the year to raise the income to work. So it has to be split over like this, unless somebody comes with a big cheque and saying just crack on and do the job. This is how we've got to do it, I'm afraid. It doesn't have to be a cheque, it could be banker's draft. I'm open to any method. So yeah, this is the way that the project's planning out, but it also means that each winter you can come back, see what's being done, and just see the project progress and work through. So thank you very much for joining us. Has anybody got any more questions?
Ailerons.
Yeah.
How are they going on?
Ailerons will be going back on this year, probably not quite at April. We have one to recover and we have one to repaint. They'll be going back on. We've also bought two ailerons. We actually bought them from in the Midlands, but they originally came from Canada. So we bought those to bust those down and restore those as well. So what actually flies with could be the originals that are on now, or they could be one each of that and the Canadian one, or all the Canadian ones, depending what we actually find with the ones that we've bought. They may actually be easier to restore than the ones that are currently on her. So one aileron's been done, the British aileron. The problem with the British ailerons is they have what's called a plug rivet used in them, which is a very strange and ridiculous method of riveting something. But the Canadian ones use PK screws, which is a much better, much sounder method of holding something on. So it may be that we do a little bit of a mix and match and use the Canadian PK screw versions in a British aileron, and whatever's going to be best for the aircraft and the long-term usage of the aircraft, basically. But yeah, they'll be going back on this year, so she'll be fully aileroned up for the taxiing season. Any other questions? We purchased this aircraft while it was a gate guardian at RAF Scampton. We moved to here in 1988. She was originally built in April 1945 for Tiger Force, so she's going to go out to do the Middle East and out to Japan, that sort of area, the Far East. And she was going to continue the bombing out in that area once we'd finished the war in Europe. She never actually got out that far, so she was retired from RAF service, and she was just held in storage until she was sold to the French Navy, L'Air Naval, and she did an awful lot of flying out in New Caledonia off the coast of Australia. She went to Morocco, she went out to many islands out in the Pacific, until she eventually was retired from French service, landed in Australia, and she was handed over to a preservation society and flew her back to the UK. So this aircraft's seen an awful lot of the world, a lot more than I have. She flew back to the UK over, I think it was 19 days, flying 70 flying hours to come back from Australia all the way back to the UK. She flew a few seasons of display flying in the UK, and at that period she was the only flying Lancaster in the world, or in Europe. I think they might have been flying out in Canada still. And then she became too expensive for that company to operate. She was going to go and form a museum at Blackpool. So she flew to Blackpool, stood at Blackpool. The museum never really came to fruition. It folded, and then the aircraft was sold off at auction at Blackpool. It's at that point that Fred and Harold Panton became interested in her. They didn't win her at the auction. She went to a chap called Lord Lilford, who left her at Blackpool and then moved her to Scampton. Fred and Harold kept in touch with Lord Lilford, and Lord Lilford agreed that they would be the first to buy her given the opportunity. She was offered to them in the early 80s, and then Fred and Harold bought her, left her at Scampton for a short period, put the hangar up here, and then moved her here. And she's been here ever since. So she hasn't flown since the early 70s, but she's been taxiing here since 1995. That's a very long answer, wasn't it? Yeah. No funding, no relief or anything. We pay full business rates, we pay full tax and duty on fuel, so we have no external funding whatsoever. It's all good people like yourselves coming through the gate, paying your admission fee, coming to look at her that pays for the whole thing. We have about 4 or 5 volunteers, everybody else is paid staff, so the whole centre pays for itself and runs itself. So that's why we're grateful to yourselves for coming and supporting us, paying your admission fee, buying a cup of tea or two, and really putting funds into this thing working.
You have to learn to sing opera. You get lots of money if you can sing opera.
Yeah, I'm not good enough for that, I'm afraid. And I've got a cold, so that's not going to help. Okay, so thank you all very much for joining us. I'm going to hang around, so if you've got any questions that you would rather ask personally than a big group, please do. Have a good look around. You can touch, but please don't take away. On the top here, there's, as I said, some of the fin and rudder bits for you to have a look at. Anchor nut strip and old skin panels and rivets on the top here. Have a look at the jigs, the aircraft. If you look at the front starboard side of the aircraft, you'll see where the number 3 engine was. That's where the undercarriage support beams and things have come from. So you can see where they're going to go back on. You can have a quick look inside the lank door if you like, so you can poke your head inside. We've had some floor up from there, which has just gone back down, so we can assess and survey some of the flooring before we take the rear fuselage off. Yeah, have a poke your head in and see up and down the aircraft. Have a look at the H2S that's underneath the bottom of the aircraft as well, and enjoy getting close to a lank, I guess. Thank you very much for listening to me.